Dawn, late Pleistocene, a fractured woodland stretching along the edge of an ancient savanna, where
We
clusters of
come with
acacia break the
respect. We
horizon
take only
and
what is
limestone
shared.
outcrops rise in the earth like weathered bone. The air is cold, holding the last breath of night. A low mist clings to the ground, softening the outlines of movement. Insects hum in thin, intermittent threads. Somewhere in the distance, a ground hornbill calls, slow, deliberate, beneath a towering tree, its hollow trunk blackened by time and use. A colony of wild bees stirs. Their hive, hidden deep within the wood, is heavy with honey, dense, golden, and rare. The scent, faint but distinct, drifts outward into the stillness. At the edge of the clearing, figures emerge. Early humans, silent, upright, watching. Their bodies are lean, marked by endurance rather than strength. In their hands, smoldering branches release thin spirals of smoke that twist upward and disappear into the pale sky. They do not rush. They observe. Every movement is measured, shaped by generations of risk and memory. Above them, unseen but not absent, predators move through shadow. The open ground offers little protection. Exposure here is a calculation, but the hive remains, and with it, the promise of calories dense enough to change the outcome of survival itself. The wind shifts, the bees respond, and the distance between hunger and danger begins to collapse. The figures at the edge of the clearing belong to a lineage that has already begun to reshape its relationship with the natural world. These are early members of the genus Homo, most likely Homo erectus, or closely related populations that occupied part of Africa and Eurasia during the late Pleistocene. Their anatomy reflects a balance between endurance and efficiency, long legs for distance travel, narrower hips for energy conservation, and hands capable of both precision and force. Cranial capacity, though smaller than that of modern humans, supports a growing ability for planning, memory, and cooperative behavior. Their environment is neither stable nor forgiving. Climatic fluctuations define this period, shifting ecosystems between wetter and drier phases over relatively short evolutionary timescales. Woodland edges such as this one are transitional zones, rich in biodiversity, but also unpredictable. Grazing herbivores pass through in search of seasonal grasses, followed by predators that track their movements with precision. For early humans, survival depends on navigating this layered system, where every resource exists within a web of competing claims. Food acquisition is the central pressure shaping behavior. Unlike specialized predators, these humans are generalists. Their diet includes roots, tubers, fruits, small animals, carrion, and, when opportunity allows, high-energy resources like honey. Honey is biologically significant. Composed primarily of simple sugars, it provides rapid metabolic fuel. More importantly, it is often accompanied by bee larvae and pupae, which are rich in fats and proteins. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer groups, such as the Hods of East Africa, suggest that honey can account for a substantial portion of caloric intake, when available, sometimes exceeding that of hunted meat. But honey is not freely given. The hive in the hollow tree likely belongs to Apis mellifera scutellata, a subspecies adapted to this environment. These bees are highly defensive. Their survival depends on collective response, rapid mobilization, coordinated attack, and persistence in the face of threats. A disturbance to the hive triggers a cascade of chemical signals, releasing alarm pheromones that recruit hundreds, sometimes thousands, of individuals into a unified defense. For most animals, this is sufficient deterrence. Yet early humans have begun to develop a counter-strategy. The use of smoke represents a critical behavioral adaptation. When introduced into the hive, smoke interferes with the bee's communication system, masking alarm pheromones and reducing their ability to coordinate an attack. It also induces a feeding response. Sensing a potential fire, bees consume honey in preparation to abandon the hive, making them less aggressive and less capable of stinging effectively. Archaeological evidence, including residues found on ancient tools and within cave deposits, supports a hypothesis that controlled use of fire dates back hundreds of thousands of years. Its application in honey collection is not merely opportunistic. It is strategic. This interaction between human and hive illustrates a broader evolutionary pattern. Rather than relying solely on physical adaptation, speed, strength, or specialized anatomy, early humans increasingly depend on behavioral flexibility. They manipulate elements of their environment to access resources otherwise beyond reach. Fire becomes an extension of their physiology, a tool that alters ecological dynamics in their favor. But this advantage is conditional. Approaching a hive requires exposure. The open clearing offers little concealment, and the act itself is time-sensitive. Smoke must be maintained. The hive must be accessed quickly, and all the while, the risk of attracting attention from both the bees and larger predators remains constant. In this landscape, no action exists in isolation. Every movement carries consequence, shaped by forces that extend beyond immediate perception. Across this shifting landscape, the pursuit of honey is not an isolated behavior, but part of a deeper evolutionary pattern, one that connects early humans to other species through shared ecological pressures. Among mammals, the exploitation of bee colonies is rare, yet not unique. Species such as a Mellivora capensis demonstrate a similar tolerance for risk, using strength and resilience to break into hives despite repeated stings. In some regions, a remarkable relationship has even been observed between humans and the indicator, a bird that actively leads humans to wild hives. While direct evidence of this partnership in the late Pleistocene remains debated, its existence in more recent hunter-gatherer societies suggests deep evolutionary roots in interspecies cooperation. For early humans, however, the method differs. Where the honey badger relies on physical resistance, humans depend on cognition, coordination, and tool use. This distinction reflects a broader trajectory in human evolution, the gradual shift from biological adaptation to behavioral innovation. Stone tools, already present in earlier periods, have become more refined. Wooden implements, though rarely preserved in the archaeological record, are likely to use a probe and extract honey from within the hollow trunk. Fire, controlled and transported, becomes a mobile advantage. The nutritional stakes are significant. Honey is not simply a supplement. It is a concentrated energy source capable of sustaining prolonged activity. In environments where food availability fluctuates, such resources can determine reproductive success, group stability, and long-term survival. Research into modern foraging societies indicates that high-calorie foods like honey are often shared within a group, reinforcing social bonds and cooperative structures. This suggests that the risks taken in its acquisition extend beyond individual gain. They support the cohesion of the group as a whole, but the environment imposes limits. The same woodland that provides access to hives also supports a hierarchy of predators. Large carnivores, lions, leopards, and hyenas, move through these territories with established patterns of dominance. Early humans, lacking the speed or strength to confront such animals directly, must rely on awareness and avoidance. Open clearings, while offering visibility, also increase vulnerability. The act of harvesting honey, with its noise, movement, and scent, disrupts the natural quiet of the environment, potentially signaling opportunity to unseen observers. Even the bees themselves represent more than an immediate threat. African honeybees are capable of sustained pursuit, following a target over considerable distance. Multiple stings can lead to physiological stress, allergic reactions, or, in extreme cases, death. For early humans, without protective clothing or advanced medical knowledge, the margin for error is narrow, yet the behavior persists. This persistence suggests a calculated balance between risk and reward, shaped over generations. Individuals who succeed in accessing high-energy resources contribute not only to their own survival, but to the adaptive knowledge of the group. Techniques are observed, remembered, and transmitted through demonstration rather than language as it is known today. Over time, these practices become embedded within the cultural framework of early human societies. In this way, the pursuit of honey becomes more than a moment of foraging. It is an expression of a developing strategy, one that leverages environment, tool use, and cooperation to offset biological limitations. It reflects a species in transition, no longer defined solely by its place within the food chain, but by the ability to navigate and, in subtle ways, reshape it. The hive remains a fixed point in this dynamic system, but everything around it is in motion. The approach to the hive is governed first by survival biology, a constant negotiation between energy gained and energy spent. For early humans, every movement carries metabolic cost. Walking across open ground, maintaining a controlled fire, enduring the threat of stings, All of it must be justified by the caloric return. Honey, dense in simple sugars, offers immediate energy, while the larvae would then provide essential fats and amino acids. This combination is rare in a single resource. It is this nutritional density that shifts the balance, making the risk biologically rational. Observations of modern foraging societies confirm that individuals will travel significant distances and accept considerable danger for access to honey. The behavior is not impulsive. It is shaped by evolutionary pressures where high-yield resources can offset periods of scarcity. In this moment, the human body itself becomes a measure. Its stored energy, its endurance, its tolerance for pain, all weighed against potential gain hidden within the hive. The method of acquisition reveals a second layer: strategy over force. Unlike predators that rely on speed or strength, early humans employ controlled disruption. Smoke is introduced not as a weapon, but as an environmental modifier. It alters the internal state of the hive, reducing coordination among bees and creating a temporary window of vulnerability. This reflects a broader cognitive shift, an understanding that survival can be achieved not by overpowering nature, but by influencing its processes. The coordination required is precise. One individual manages the fire, ensuring a steady flow of smoke. Another approaches the hive, using tools to access its interior. Others remain alert, scanning the surroundings for threats. This division of roles, though simple, represents an early form of task specialization. It reduces individual risk while increasing collective efficiency. Such coordination is supported by growing cognitive capacity, memory, anticipation, and the ability to interpret subtle environmental cues. Instinct and learned behavior intersect in this process. The initial fear of stinging insects is a natural response, observed across many species. But in early humans, this instinct is moderated by experience. Repeated exposure leads to adaptation, not in the genetic sense, but through learning. Individuals begin to recognize patterns. The sound of agitation within the hive, the shift in bee movement when smoke is effective, the moment when approach becomes possible. These observations accumulate over time, forming a body of knowledge that can be transmitted within the group. Unlike purely instinct-driven species, where behavior is fixed, early humans demonstrate flexibility. They adjust techniques based on conditions: wind direction, hive structure, bee activity. This capacity for behavioral refinement is a defining characteristic of the genus Homo, allowing adaptation to a wide range of environments without the need for rapid physical evolution. Social structure underpins the entire interaction. Honey collection is rarely an individual act. The risks involved, both from the bees and from external predators, favor group participation. Within the group, roles may not be rigid, but patterns emerge. More experienced individuals take on positions that require precision and timing. Others support, observe, or learn. The distribution of the resource afterward reinforces these dynamics. Sharing is not merely cooperative. It is stabilizing. It ensures that the benefits of high-risk activities are distributed across the group, increasing overall resilience. Ethnographic studies of modern hunter-gatherers show that such sharing behaviors reduce conflict and strengthen social bonds, which are critical for survival in unpredictable environments. In this way, the act of harvesting honey extends beyond nutrition. It becomes part of the social fabric, shaping relationships and reinforcing cooperation. Beyond the immediate act of extraction, the presence of rival species introduces a parallel dimension of competition. The hive does not exist in isolation as a resource for humans alone. The Mellivora capensis moves through similar terrain with a different approach, relying on strength, thick skin, and a tolerance for repeated stings that would deter most mammals. Its method is direct, often destructive, tearing into hives with little concern for efficiency. For early humans, such encounters represent both competition and risk. Arriving at a hive already disturbed by another species may reduce the effort required for access, but it also increases unpredictability. The defensive behavior of bees intensifies after repeated disturbances, and the scent of broken comb can attract additional scavengers. In this shared ecological space, timing becomes critical. To arrive first is advantageous. To arrive second is uncertain. Predator dynamics further complicate the situation. Large carnivores such as leopards are known to exploit moments of distraction. The focus required to manage smoke and extract honey reduces situational awareness, even within a group. Studies of predator-prey interactions in similar environments indicate that vulnerability often increases not during movement, but during engagement with a resource. Early humans, aware of this through repeated exposure, likely adopt strategies to mitigate the risk, positioning individuals at the periphery, maintaining visual contact with the surrounding landscape, and limiting the duration of the activity. These behaviors are not formalized, but they emerge through necessity, shaped by outcomes where inattention has led to loss. There is also an emerging dimension of interspecies signaling. The indicator demonstrates a unique behavior among birds, guiding larger animals, including humans, toward bee colonies. In modern observations, the bird emits specific calls and movements that attract attention, then leads a follower to a hive. After the hive is opened, the bird feeds on the remaining wax and larvae. While direct evidence of this interaction in the late Pleistocene is limited, its persistence in contemporary ecosystems suggests an ancient origin. If such interactions were present, even in early forms, they would represent a rare case of mutual benefit across species boundaries, each participant responding to the behavior of the other without direct communication. At a broader level, the moral neutrality of nature becomes evident. The hive is defended without intent beyond survival. The humans approach without malice, driven by necessity. Predators observe without preference, responding to opportunity. Each action is part of a system governed not by fairness, but by function. Success is not rewarded. It is simply the absence of failure. Loss is not punished. It is an outcome within the range of possibility. This absence of moral structure does not diminish the intensity of the moment. It clarifies it. Every participant operates within constraints defined by biology and environment. In this convergence, human, insect, predator, and landscape, the act of harvesting honey becomes a point of intersection. It is where different survival strategies meet, overlap, and sometimes conflict. No single perspective defines the event. It is instead a layered interaction, shaped by competing needs and limited by the boundaries of each species' capabilities. The morning deepens, and the clearing becomes a stage for risk measured in seconds. The early humans move with deliberate caution, carrying embers from their smoldering branches as shields against the hive's natural defense. Smoke coils upward, twisting through the mist, masking the sharp alarm pheromones released by the bees. Within the hollow, the colony reacts, a surge of tension and motion transmitted through thousands of wings and bodies. Each bee is acutely sensitive to vibration and scent. Any miscalculation by the humans risks triggering a coordinated assault. Yet, the group persists, guided by experience and observation. One individual steps forward, probing the hive with a slender wooden stick. The bees, initially agitated, begin to feed, their defensive posture temporarily subdued by the smoke. Honey oozes slowly from the comb, thick and golden, and the first taste confirms the value of the effort. Every extraction carries weight, not just caloric, but strategic. The humans know that prolonged exposure increases vulnerability. Predators, invisible in the distance, could arrive at any moment. The wind shifts subtly, carrying both the sweet scent of honey and the faint trace of smoke outward into savanna. It is enough to alert a lion or leopard hidden in the underbrush. The interplay of risk is constant, and vigilance is as vital as dexterity. The bees' response intensifies unpredictably. Some manage to bypass the smoke's effects, stinging the hands and faces of those closest. Pain registers immediately, a physical reminder of the cost of intrusion. Yet the humans endure. Their bodies, conditioned through repeated exposure and the demands of survival, tolerate discomfort that would immobilize less adapted creatures. Cooperation is essential. While one extract honey, others shield, wave branches, and monitor for signs of predatory movement. The act of harvesting becomes a choreography, each movement calculated, rehearsed in instinct and practice. From the periphery, subtle shifts in the clearing reveal another danger. The approach of a leopard, drawn by scent and movement. The humans perceive its presence, low growls, flicker of tail, the rustle of dry leaves, and adjust immediately. Extraction becomes urgent, smoke applied more thickly, movements more deliberate but faster. The tension in the scene rises not through dramatization, but through the cold logic of survival. One misstep could provoke the hive into full-scale defense, or expose a group to predation. Every element, the bees, the wind, the predators, the humans themselves, interacts in a network of cause and effect. At the hive's edge, a portion of the comb collapses under the probing stick. Honey drips onto the ground, glistening in the weak morning light. The bees react violently, swarming, and a sting pierces a hand to extract her. Pain is immediate, but the strategic use of smoke and group support prevents escalation. Nearby individuals intervene, fending off the swarm while maintaining a buffer against the approaching leopard. Seconds stretch like hours. The balance of risk and reward is acute. The first cache of honey is secured. Fingers sticky with nectar, the humans retreat carefully, guiding smoke behind them to suppress the hive's alarm. The leopard halts at the edge of the clearing, assessing the group, but chooses not to attack, its opportunity diminished by the humans' coordinated movement. The hive remains, partially consumed, partially defended. It has survived the encounter. The humans withdraw with their prize, the colony recalibrating, preparing to repair and defend against future threats. In this moment, survival is a negotiation of instinct, intelligence, and environmental awareness. No heroism exists, only the precise execution of behaviors honed over millennia. The humans pause at the perimeter of the clearing, honey in hand, but the encounter is not yet complete. The bees, their alarm signals spreading to the colony, surge outward, pursuing the intruders. Stings strike exposed skin, drawing blood and eliciting sharp cries of pain. Yet the group maintains formation. Each individual anticipates the movement of the others, shifting position to minimize exposure. The hive's response is rapid and organized, a testament to evolutionary efficiency. No single bee acts in isolation, and their collective action is precise, lethal in its cumulative effect. Above, the wind carries scents and sounds unevenly, altering the dynamics of pursuit. The humans adjust, moving with the wind at their backs to reduce detection, and using smoke to mask the aroma of their passage. Every step is deliberate. Behind them, a leopard crouches, its presence only discernible through subtle environmental cues, a snapping twig, the flick of a tail, the tension of grass pressed flat by unseen weight. Predation is opportunistic. The cat waits for hesitation, a moment when pain or distraction might tip the balance. The humans navigate this crucible with acute awareness. One misstep, a stumble, an inattentive glance could draw the hive into full-scale defense or expose them to predatory attack. The combination of bee aggression and carnivore threat creates a layered risk environment where every sensory input is critical. Early human capacity to integrate multiple streams of information, sight, smell, sound, tactile feedback, is evident. They manage simultaneous threats with a cognitive flexibility that distinguishes them from other animals operating purely on instinct. At the hive, the bee's persistence pushes some individuals to retreat from the direct extraction point. Others continue probing, retrieving comb and larvae while balancing their exposure. The hive's architecture, dense, labyrinthine, protective, forces the humans to adapt. Their sticks must probe carefully, dislodging sections of comb without provoking a catastrophic defensive surge. Smoke, continuously applied, remains their critical tool. Observation of bee behavior informs each movement. A sudden pause, a shift in flight pattern, or a low frequency, but signals heightened agitation. The leopard's patience defines another layer of tension. It follows the group's retreat along the edge of the clearing, waiting for a lapse in attention. Its movements are nearly imperceptible, a study in stealth honed over generations. The humans, aware of the predator's potential presence, maintain peripheral vigilance. Eyes scan the shadows, heads pivoted toward rustling vegetation, muscles coil for sudden flight. The interaction is silent, a negotiation in which each participant tests the limits of endurance, perception, and timing. As the humans reach the relative cover of taller brush, the bees gradually abandon pursuit, returning to hive to assess damage and begin reconstruction. The leopard, frustrated by the humans' coordinated retreat, ceases its following, blending once more into mosaic of shadow and sun. The moment resolves not through violence alone, but through a complex interplay of strategy, awareness, and environmental manipulation. The clearing returns to stillness. Honey secured, humans regroup, bees repair, predators resume patrol. Survival is neither triumphant nor tragic. It is a precise execution of learned behaviors, an ongoing negotiation between species, each acting according to evolutionary design. The humans settle briefly at the edge of the woodland, evaluating the success of their effort. The honey, now collected in sections of comb and small containers fashioned from bark, represents a significant energetic gain. For the individuals involved, the immediate benefit is tangible: rapid replenishment of calories and essential nutrients. Consumption begins cautiously, portioned among the group. Modern ethnographic analogs, such as observations of the Hodzans and hunter-gatherers, suggest that high-calorie resources like honey are distributed deliberately, reinforcing social cohesion and ensuring that the energetic benefit extends beyond the individual. The act of sharing in this context is not moralistic. It is functional. It stabilizes the group, enhances collective survival, and allows knowledge of extraction techniques to be observed and internalized by younger or less experienced members. Physiological impacts of the encounter are evident. Individuals display minor stings and scratches, some swelling, a reminder of the encounter with the bees. Such wounds are common in interactions with both prey and defensive species, and while painful, they rarely threaten immediate survival unless compounded by infection or allergic reaction. Exposure to smoke and sustained physical effort also leaves a measurable imprint. Sweat fatigue and heightened heart rates reflect the cost of the activity. Yet these costs are outweighed by the energy gained, particularly in periods where alternative food sources are limited. The hive itself bears consequences. Sections of comb are removed, larvae disturbed, and the protective structure partially compromised. In natural cycles, such disturbances trigger rapid repair behaviors. Bees mobilize to reconstruct comb, redistribute larvae, and reinforce defense patterns. The colony's response demonstrates resilience. Its survival does not hinge on a single event, but on a capacity for rapid recovery. This interplay illustrates a fundamental principle in ecology. Individual events, while intense, rarely disrupt long-term survival, as species have evolved mechanisms to absorb occasional perturbations. Predators' roles in the scenario are subtler but significant. The leopard that followed the humans maintains awareness of the area, but the immediate opportunity has vanished. Large carnivores, in these ecosystems, often operate as opportunists rather than persistent hunters. The human strategic retreat demonstrates an understanding, albeit likely instinctual and observational, of predator behavior. Survival is not secured through elimination of threat, but through situational management, vigilance, and timing. Simultaneously, the event reinforces the group's collective knowledge. Observation, coordination, and repetition create a feedback loop. Younger individuals witness technique. Older individuals refine efficiency, and the memory of risk is encoded in procedural behavior. Across generations, such experiences shape both skill acquisition and social dynamics. The result is a species not merely surviving, but gradually constructing a repertoire of strategies that extends beyond immediate physiological adaptations. As the group moves deeper into the cover of the woodland, the broader ecological impact of the honey raid becomes apparent. The hive, now partially emptied, is no longer as defensively cohesive. Alarm pheromones linger, keeping some bees on heightened alert. Neighboring colonies may detect the disturbance through airborne chemical cues, adjusting their own defensive behavior. Such interactions demonstrate the subtle ripple effects of a single foraging event, where one species' activity influences the behavior of others across space and time. Within the human group, the effects extend beyond nutrition. The exertion, minor injuries, and exposure have immediate consequences for stamina and alertness. These costs are mitigated by the energy-dense food acquired, but not eliminated. Fatigue could reduce vigilance during subsequent activities, increasing risk from predators or environmental hazards. Yet the benefits remain clear. Caloric intake, social reinforcement, and consolidation of learned techniques all contribute to survival probabilities that extend beyond the immediate moment. This event also illustrates hierarchical and social dynamics. More experienced individuals often take leadership in extraction, deciding when to approach, how to manage smoke, and how to respond to bee aggression. Their authority is functional, earned through knowledge and skill. Observation of such individuals allows younger or less experienced group members to internalize both technique and risk assessment. This transmission of practical knowledge is essential. ensuring that critical survival skills persist within the group and shaping social structures based on competence rather than arbitrary status. Ecologically, the woodland edge is resilient but finely balanced. The removal of honey and disturbance of larvae represents a temporary shift in local food availability for other species, birds, mammals, and insects that rely on similar resources. Such interactions, repeated across seasons and generations, contribute to a complex network of energy distribution in the ecosystem. The human's activity, while calculated and strategic, is absorbed into a larger ecological rhythm, influencing patterns of foraging, predation, and reproduction across multiple species. Finally, the event reinforces a critical principle of natural history. Survival is never absolute. Gains are measured against losses, and success is ephemeral. The honey, though rich and valuable, cannot eliminate future scarcity. Injuries, predator encounters, and environmental challenges persist. Yet the group emerges with an immediate advantage, both nutritional and informational, shaped by careful observation, cooperative execution, and learned behavior. The consequences are not dramatic in narrative terms, but in evolutionary terms, they are profound. Each successful foraging expedition enhances the group's capacity to endure, to adapt, and to transmit knowledge across generations. The sun climbs higher, casting long shadows across the woodland floor. The humans retreat into cover, honey secured, their bodies marked by the encounter yet tempered by resilience. Around them, life continues with impartial rhythm. The hive repairs, predators patrol, and the wind carries scents that tell of recent disturbance. There is no triumph, no lament, only the quiet calculus of survival. In this moment, the story of the hive and its harvesters illustrates a fundamental truth of life on Earth. Survival is neither heroic nor cruel. It is precise, functional, and impartial. Each action, from the cautious application of smoke to the vigilant scanning of the periphery, is measured against the demands of existence. Nature offers opportunity and challenge in equal measure, indifferent to need, desire, or intention. The honey gathered today is more than sustenance. It is a record of observation, skill, and adaptive intelligence. It is proof that behavior, refined and repeated, can shift the balance between risk and reward, even in the harshest of landscapes. Yet it is fleeting. Tomorrow brings new predators, new scarcity, and new decisions. Life persists not through certainty, but through resilience and awareness, through the capacity to act within the boundaries imposed by the environment and by other species. The hive, scarred but intact, continues its silent work. The bees, as they always have, respond not to morality but to survival. The humans, as they always will, learn, adapt, and endure. In this interplay, the pattern of life is revealed, a continuous negotiation between organism and environment, between risk and sustenance, between knowledge gained and challenges yet unseen. And in this negotiation, existence itself finds its form, not in the stories we tell, but in the persistent, unsentimental, and exacting truths of the natural world.